Perspectives. It's a huge thing in life, especially as of late, that I've noticed that is so changing and so important. And I've just been thinking a lot about perspective, right? A lot of times in life, you say, if I were in that position, I would do such and such, right? And you're very adamant, and that's who you would be and what you would do. And then if you're faced with that situation, you suddenly are like, you know what, maybe that's not what I would do. Maybe I would do something else, because now I have different knowledge and different experience, and what I thought I would do beforehand just doesn't seem right at the moment. Slightly vague, but I think I'll give a quick story on this and why perspective is important, and why it's kind of important to be okay with perspective. So I always said, when I die, I'm going to, go out, go crazy. I'm going to go party. Like this is years ago when you thought you're going to go wild and have fun if you knew you're going to die. And yet when I was faced with, hey, you are very likely to die, right? I was given the news, you're very likely to die in your situation, when I was having my son, right? And I remember calling my sister, one of the millions of times I've called her, and I was crying, and I was like, I don't know, what do people do when they only have a little bit of time left? And she's like, I don't know. And it was kind of like an eye-opener. And I said, well, I guess, you'd think that you'd go and travel the world and you'd go have fun. But now I'm seeing it as, I'm going to sit here at my house. I'm going to relax and rest as much as possible to give my body that, whatever. I was still not telling people about my condition. And so I just I read humorous books. I relaxed as much as humanly possible. I had some on the phone counseling, preparation, whatnot. I prepared my finances. I prepared all these things for my family and friends. Well, mainly family, obviously finances, but like for my family and friends, I tried to just give, calm, nice words and not concern anyone. It was very different than the wild traveling the world, going for broke that I thought I'd do, right? When I was finally confronted with it, when I was in the hospital, having my baby, it was still like iffy, right? The whole situation. When I was going into the room, I did not know that I would be actually going out as me, right? Alive. So what happened is, this is actually so important. Beyond just perspective, this is very important. The girl, she was telling me, you need to talk to me. I need to know that you're still okay, the whole time. And I said, you know what? I just can't talk right now. I mean, it was just so huge for me. I was so overwhelmed, and I couldn't think and I couldn't speak. And I said, can you just talk to me? And she did. And I can tell you, my last thoughts would be about my sisters, which is kind of wild. But I said, I have a lot of sisters, and I would love if you just told me about your sisters. And she did. And it was wonderful. And it was helping me to get through that time and to have peace and happiness. And that would have been, necessarily my last thoughts. Now, so before then, I thought it'd be wild time travel. Then the reality hit, and it was that time. And now I have a future where it's changed. My perspective has changed. My experiences and knowledge have changed. So now I hope before I die, right, that I will have kind thoughts about my son and my husband and my family and friends and all of those things. It won't necessarily be the wild traveling. I'm hoping to get that done way before all that. And things change, and now there's more of an acceptance. And now my sister asked me, she's like, so now what are you gonna do, before you die and the day you die? And I said, well, probably poop my pants and sleep a lot. It's terrible to say, but quite frankly, that's kind of where you're at on things. So I'm finding that perspective and knowledge and life experiences change you. So part of that is we are all made of certain bits, right? We have our DNA, we have our bodies, we have this, we have that. One slight teeny little change in a DNA can give you some horrible disease like polycythemia vera, right? Super annoying. But little changes, those teeny little minuscule changes, can change me from you, in the sense of I have something that's super annoying and you are able to not have to be, hampered by such a horrible thing, right? But you have your own stuff. I'm not saying that you don't. That's the thing, is I think it's kind of like, I was explaining it to my sister once, one of my many sisters. It's like every human equals to the number 9, right? But there are so many ways to get to the number 9. You can do simple addition all the way through. You can do 3 plus 3 plus 3. Or you could do 4 plus 5, 0 plus 8 plus 1, etc., right? And that's the basic addition to make a human being. Essentially in the very beginning, it's 1 plus 1 equals, 3, essentially. Kind of weird, 2, 1, Anyhow, but the thing is we have this basic addition for a human being, and then things get a little different, right? Then we have some subtractions, and we have some addition, then we have multiplication, and then we have division. We have all of these things that make a human. So at this point in time, my equation equals my perspective, with all of the mathematics behind it that has made me my current me, right? And 10 minutes from now, something might change just a tad bit. My perspective might change. And that's kind of what I'm trying to take into my mind lately about everyone. I think there's been so many issues, some silly and awesome, like the Laurel and Yanni, fantastic. It's awesome. I swear everyone around me has been hearing Yanni. And I'm like, how do you even, I can't even hear that at all. And I'm like, it's so distinctly Laurel, I cannot believe it. And then, but here's the thing is, I mean, technically, yes, I was correct. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm so correct. I'm saying technically I was correct. And yet they heard what they heard. I'm not going to take that from them. So again, that's something like, maybe there's a difference in somehow distinguishing things. I don't know. But it doesn't mean that their perspective wasn't their perspective. And so it's kind of not so black and white on a lot of things. And I'm learning that through politics, which has been major upheaval, especially in America and probably all over the world, right? We all have these issues. I know I've gotten into it with friends and family, right? And then I have to step back and say, wait, perspective, let's just see. Let's just see the different equation for different people. What's yours, Oprah actually did something where she took people on opposing sides of politics and she put them in a room and they listened. They listened to each other. And it wasn't like a horrible judgment or anything like that. It was just listening. And I thought, that is so wonderful. Number one, Oprah is like goddess of the millennial beings. I mean, just amazing. I love Oprah. Anyway, she's amazing. And yet she could listen. And I can't tell you that it was easy for me to listen sometimes. I mean, it's not. But bless her, she opened my eyes and changed my perspective on things. And I totally am grateful for that. And I think that's the thing, is if we look at each other and realize, hey, just this is my theory, right? We can all be the number 9. We have different ways of getting there, but let's just kind of see how it made it to the number 9 as a human being, right? It's also a reminder of that black and blue and gold and white dress. My husband saw it totally different, and my son, because he's a toddler, he's super honest, like what he sees. And we're like, what do you see? He's like, black and blue. And I'm like, what? I see gold and white. It's like so clear, right? So again, perspective. And it doesn't mean that it was necessarily wrong. That's what he saw. So I'm finding that in life, and how we can change, how we think we distinctly behave or act in a certain situation. It's not always true. Or maybe it was true at the time, what we'd assume. I find that life is ever evolving. We are ever evolving. And perspective is so amazing because it's made of so many intricate parts, and I think, I know I kind of made the DNA switch, the number, how that changed an actual, situation in life, but it also changed my perspective, right? So anyhow, this is my ideas on perspective. I've just been thinking a lot of it lately. It reminds me of when people are looking, there's two sets of feet and they're looking down. One sees the 6 and one sees the 9. They're seeing the same exact thing. And yet it's different from both because they're at a different perspective. It's the moon. It's, when you see the moon at a different time and space, and, is it full moon? Is it half moon? Whatever. Depends on, how it's revolving. It's just amazing. So I hope that we can all kind of keep that in mind when we're having discussions with friends and family, or even ourselves. Give ourselves the leniency and say, currently I am doing the best I can with the knowledge and experience that I have in my life up to this point. And I think it's Maya Angelou, who I love also. I think she said something of, when you know better, you'll do better. And that's just beautiful. That is my perspective on perspective right now. Who knows if it will change? Anyhow, I'm wishing you well. I just hope that we can all be kind and loving and supportive and just truly help each other. There's so many opportunities just to love each other and yourselves. Love yourself. It is so important. That's my perspective.